customer equity isn't a marketing metric, but that's how most teams treat it. Hi, I'm Allison, and I work with private companies, manufacturers, distributors, and the PE teams behind them. My job is figuring out which customers are building your business and which ones are quietly draining it. And today I want to walk you through why customer equity might be the most underutilized strategic asset in your business and how treating it as a financial instrument rather than a marketing metric could fundamentally change how you allocate resources, prioritize accounts, and even develop products. Now here's the challenge as I see it. As executives, we can all agree we want a clear path to revenue, not just revenue growth on paper, but predictable, sustainable revenue that we can actually plan around. If you're a VP of sales, you want your team focused on the accounts that will actually expand. And if you're a CEO of a manufacturer with perhaps a PE partner, you want to show value creation that isn't just cost cutting. If you're a CFO at a distribution company, perhaps you want to know which products deserve investment. We all want the same thing: clarity on where revenue is coming from and the confidence of where it will appear. Despite the challenges that we know exist, market volatility, supply chain disruptions, competitive pressure, there is a path to predictable growth. So why does it feel so hard to find it? Well, the real problem is our disconnected view of the business. Marketing is measuring campaigns and engagement rates. Sales is tracking pipeline and close rates. Finance is looking at revenue and product line. Operations are focused on product or fulfillment. Each team has its own dashboard, its own KPIs, and its own definition of success. But here's what's missing: a single focused force that connects all of these views. Think about it this way. Imagine you're running a regional manufacturer or a distributor. Your marketing team is celebrating because website traffic is up 40%, but your sales team is frustrated because the conversion rates are down, and finance is confused because revenue is flat despite all this activity. Everyone is looking at their piece of the puzzle, and no one is looking at the force behind the revenue, the customer. So let me give you a distribution example. Imagine you're an industrial fastener distributor and you have two customers who both spent $100,000 last year. Traditional metrics say that they're equal, but when you calculate individual customer equity, you discover something different. Customer A is a growing manufacturer in an expanding industry, and they're just starting their relationship with you. In the predictive model, they're likely to spend $800,000 in the next couple years. But customer B is in a declining industry and their orders are shrinking. The predictive model says that they'll spend about $150,000 over the next 5 years. So the same historical spend, but a completely different strategic value, 800 versus 150. Now here's where it gets powerful. When you know this, you can see which customers are expected to perform financially, and you can make fundamentally different decisions. You can essentially see the future of your business and get ahead of it. Now, some of you, especially if you're from finance or private equity, you're probably thinking, oh, we already do this. We have financial models. We do portfolio analysis. We optimize based on our data. And you are right, you do. The discipline is there. The rigor is there. But here's the gap. The financial models are only as good as the inputs that you feed them. And right now, most financial analysis relies on historical customer data, what customers spent last year, last quarter, last month. It's backward looking by design, and that's appropriate for understanding where you've been. But when you are making forward-looking decisions, where to invest or which segments to prioritize, which customers to fight to retain, you need a forward-looking input. You need to know which customers are going to create value, not which ones did. Customer equity is that input. It doesn't replace your financial models. It makes them predictive instead of reactive. Here's what happens without it. A distribution company I studied happened to go through 3 rounds of what they called strategic customer rationalization. And the logic was sound: to trim the bottom 20% of customers by current profitability and redeploy resources to higher margin accounts. It's a classic portfolio optimization technique, and it looked great on paper, and the margins improved, and the quarterly reports were clean. But here's what the historical data couldn't show them. Some of those low margin customers were actually early in their growth trajectory. They were testing the relationship, they were ramping up cautiously and deciding whether to consolidate more spend with this distributor. The company optimized them away. They cut them loose, and within 3 years, several of those former customers had become major accounts, but for the competitor. They didn't make a bad decision. They made a blind decision. They had financial discipline, but no forward-looking customer insight. Customer equity would have flagged those accounts. It would have said, this customer looks marginal today, but we can see the drift. We can see the predictive indicators that show order frequency trends and expansion into new product lines and industry growth rates. We can see that they're worth over $400,000 in investing in the next 5 years. So invest, don't divest. Customer equity tells you what's likely to happen, so your financial decisions are informed by future value, not past performance. The companies that get this right don't abandon financial rigor. They enhance it. They feed better inputs into the same decision-making, disciplined process. Customer equity isn't a replacement for how you run your business. It's the missing variable that makes everything work harder. So let me bring it back to you. You're a CEO. Can you ask yourself, do I know my top 10 highest equity customers, the ones that will compound my business value? Not my biggest customers, my highest potential customers. Do I know which accounts are worth investing in and which are slowly draining away resources? Or am I guessing? If you're a CFO, ask yourself, when I make a resource allocation, am I looking at historical performance or predicted customer value? Am I driving by looking at what's behind me, optimizing for last quarter, or am I looking at what's ahead? If you're a VP of sales or marketing, ask yourself, are my teams focused on quality of customers? Who will drive the most future value? Or are they chasing metrics that feel good and deliver quick but not quality revenue? The goal we all started with is to have a clear path to revenue. That goal is achievable, but it requires a shift in perspective. It requires moving from disconnected departmental metrics to a unified view centered on customer equity. Because the companies that understand customer equity truly understand it at the individual predictive level. They don't just grow, they grow efficiently. They allocate resources strategically. They retain their best relationships and they attract more like them. And the companies that don't, well, they're managing what they measure. And unfortunately, they're measuring the wrong things. Customer equity isn't a marketing metric. It's a strategic compass, which also connects to the specific tactical levers that improve your business. If you want to explore what customer equity analysis could reveal in your business, I would love to have that conversation. You might be surprised at what you find. So either DM me on this platform or email me at allison@customerequity.ai.